A dozen new classes, 4 hefty Game Master tools, 6 adventures, and lots more are packed within Cabin Fever for the Pirate Borg role-playing game from Limithron. And I'll be sharing my review right after this. Darg! Howdy, gang, and welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host here at the Gaming Gang channel. Thanks for joining me once again. Today, I'll be sharing my review of Cabin Fever for the Pirate Borg role-playing game from Limithron. This 170-page A5-sized hardcover carries an MSRP of $39.99. That does include the PDF. I should also mention, as I record this, the PDF alone is available over at DriveThruRPG absolutely free. Yes, you heard that correctly. It is absolutely free, so you get to keep some doubloons in your pockets. Having said all that, let's swing on over to the other camera because here I've got Cabin Fever for Pirate Borg. A few things to mention before we get stuck in. First of all, my friends over at Limithron were kind enough to provide me with this review copy, but neither I nor anyone else affiliated with the Gaming Gang has received any other sort of compensation for me to share this review video with you. It's important you know that. We're also not going to look at each and every page of the book, but I do want to give you a good feel for what you're going to find inside. And then lastly, the final portion of Cabin Fever consists of 6 adventures. So if you're a player, I'm warning you right up front, there are spoilers ahead. Even though I'm going to stay away from spoilers in the adventures, if you're familiar with how Pirate Borg books are laid out, there's tons of artwork. So I guarantee as I'm flipping through the pages, you're probably going to see something that spoils some of the surprises of those adventures. Just want to let you know that right up front. First thing we're going to do is take a peek at the credits page. A lot of folks worked very hard to bring this to life. So let's give credit where credit is due. Cabin Fever consists of a bunch of content created by the known conspirators of Pirate Borg. Yes, the Pirate Borg community. And I'm going to tell you right away, I am so pleasantly surprised by creativity on display here. It's really, really well done. I was expecting a good book. I got to be honest, it's Limithron, so of course I was expecting it to be good. It's better than I was expecting. Now, we'll start off with a dozen new classes, and they are a wide mix. We've got the Angler, we've got the Mess, the Swashbuckler, the Shipwright, the Tattooed, and more. Now, just with the eye test, they don't seem to be completely balanced, which is fine because this is an old school Renaissance role-playing game. And they're not overpowered necessarily, although I could see the Tattooed being a fairly powerful player character once they start gaining experience. A couple of these feel a little, maybe underwhelming, I guess would be the word. Not that they're underpowered, but I would have liked to have seen a little bit more that sets them apart from some other classes we've already seen. But for the most part, these 12 classes are very, very well done. Let's talk about the production quality of the book because it is fantastic. It is excellent. Paper stock, nice and thick. It is matte. So as you can see, there's very, very little glare that you're getting from the lights here in the Duct Tape Studios. And the artwork pops off the page very nicely. Now, of course, this is sort of an art punk release, but unlike most art punk role-playing game books that I've encountered over the years, the artwork never overshadows the gaming content. And I love that. That is one of the things I respect the most about Luke Stratton and his team over at Limithron is they want to overwhelm you with artwork, but they don't want to underwhelm you with the game content. Very, very nicely done. So we're going to get some interesting NPCs you can introduce into your proceedings. And then we will move on to our GM tools. We've got some new rules regarding fishing. We've got a few pages devoted to that, which I really appreciate because you're not only going to get information about how to go about catching them, but you get values if you sell them, if they have any special properties, if they're monsters that you have to fight. So very, very well done. We'll get a few new ships that are added to our navies. One of our GM tools is Tom's, Dick's, and Harry's, which allows you to generate interesting NPCs on the fly. I like these tables. So as you can see, there is some seriously meaty content. We're not talking about just 1 or 2 pages devoted to something. Yes, granted, like the classes get a couple of pages, the NPCs get a page, but for like the new GM tools and the new fishing rules, we get some page space devoted to them. I like that a lot. This here that you're taking a peek at is our random island generator. Thought this is cool. So well done there. And then we're going to start getting into our adventures. Our first adventure, our big bad, is the Mother of Worms. Love the artwork. This artwork is really, really nicely done up there. Now, I usually kind of talk about uneven artwork in a role-playing game book. It doesn't bother me with the Pirate Borg releases because the artwork's always good. When I see uneven artwork, it's when you have a page that's got a really cool image, and then a couple pages later, you're like, whoa, how did that get in here? That's never the case with the Pirate Borg books. So as far as the adventures go, we've got 6 of them. And if you're not overly familiar with how Pirate Borg adventures are laid out, we tend to get them in chunks. And what I mean by that is that they are presented as different areas, different NPCs. So there's almost a little bit of a hex crawl feel to your adventures, even when it's not a hex crawl, because like the best of old school Renaissance adventures, you get situations, you get locations, you get encounters, but you're not getting a through line for a plot or a story. The story is going to emerge as your players interact with the NPCs, with the environments, with the various different keyed locations. We do get a good amount of new entries for our bestiaries as well with these adventures. As I mentioned, we've got 6 adventures. I found 4 of them to be really, really well done adventures. The other 2 I thought were fine. Shrine of the Slithering Slumber is one that I liked quite a bit. It's not super long, but once again, as with some of the GM tools, we're looking at adventures taking up some page space for us. Not just here's 4 pages, here's a situation. No, we get a lot, and the adventures are varied. So that's a bonus also. They're not all just dealing with skeletons on an island or finding a lost treasure or a piece of a treasure map. Now there's a lot more going on to these adventures than that. And we also get some new rules and some new tools to utilize within the adventures too. I like that quite a lot. So that's just a real quick peek inside Cabin Fever for the Pirate Borg role-playing game from Limithron. Let's swing on over to the other camera. I'm going to share some final thoughts as well as my review score. As I began this review, I pointed out that I was very pleasantly surprised by what I found inside Cabin Fever. And the reason behind that is because it's community content that's been gathered. Now, it's the best of the community content, but still, a lot of times role-playing games community content collections, it's not necessarily a mark of quality, but that is certainly not the case here. Now, granted, not everything in the book is a grand slam. There are some misses, at least in my opinion. Some of the classes, as I pointed out, feel a little underwhelming, maybe a little underpowered, sort of. I found a couple of the adventures to be all right, but for the most part, this is so jam packed with great content. The misses really don't matter at all. So I have said this before. In my opinion, Pirate Borg is the best of the Borg role playing games which are out there. I'm going to push this a little further this time out because it's getting to the point where Pirate Borg is one of the best old school Renaissance role playing games currently on the market. It really, really is. This is a great book. I honestly can't see every game master out there using each and every entry in Cabin Fever, but they're going to use a hell of a lot of it. Sadly, this is going to get the lowest review score of anything, at least off the top of my head, that I have reviewed from Limithron, but it's still getting a great score. So on a scale of 0 to 10, I give Cabin Fever for Pirate Borg from Limithron an 8 out of 10. If you are running Pirate Borg, you definitely want to have this in your collection, and it's absolutely free in PDF as I'm recording this. Can't tell you how long that's going to be the case, but you can swing on over to DriveThruRPG and pick up Cabin Fever for $0. So even if you're not running Pirate Borg, you should probably pick it up because it's a lot of fun to read also. And there's great artwork within the book too. All right, that is it for this time out. If you enjoyed the Gaming Gang and would like to support the outlet, you can do so in a few ways. First, by utilizing our affiliate links to the One Bookshelf sites, such as the aforementioned DriveThruRPG. And to do so, simply visit thegaminggang.com, click on one of our ads. That way, if you happen to make a purchase, I get 5% of that as a commission. And all those commissions really do add up and help keep thegaminggang.com around. You can also make a one-time donation by way of PayPal and become a monthly member of our Patreon. You'll find all of that down in the show notes. Also in those show notes, you're going to find an invite link to our Discord server. It's absolutely free to sign up, so be sure to hang with the gang over on Discord. Of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit gaminggang.com for all the latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more you are not going to find here on YouTube. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. If you like the video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't. And if you do subscribe, be sure to ring that bell because it'll not only let you know when I share videos such as this review, it'll also inform you when my live stream, the Gaming Gang Dispatch, airs Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday evenings right here on YouTube at 7 p.m. Central as I share the latest in tabletop gaming news and more. I'm Jeff McAleer. Thank you very much for watching, and until I see you next time, I certainly hope all of you get to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang.